Hello everyone, God bless you and welcome to a brand new series of Jezsuka's and the Tales podcast. Today I'm here with our English teacher, Mr. Vorzsák Milan, who recently published a book called Endless Earth. Can you please tell us a little bit about the book?
First of all, thank you for the invitation. Well, as some of you might know, this is actually a science fiction book. It's written for the young generation, but not only. So it's actually about an elf called Endless Earth who is plunged into the 25th century America, and she tells the people that she's an elf from before the Ice Age who actually designed everyone, who designed mankind, and not only, but all the species from the earth ever. So actually, evolution is not random, but a conscious design, and it has a purpose, and that purpose is to send mankind, intelligence, to the stars to meet other intelligences. Enough for starters.
What inspired you to write this book?
Well, the inspiration came from a whole lifetime of being curious, liking science in general, but also great adventure. And, I think we as mankind, I think, has always thought about what is evolution, what could the purpose of life be, and, why are we here? And I don't say that this is why we're here. I'm just saying this is an idea, really interesting play about our scientific knowledge and our fantastic elements put together.
What are the main themes of the book and how did you bring them to life?
All right, so as I said, the main theme of the book, one of the main themes is evolution. And, Darwin has already put it together, right? One species comes after the next. And we also know that we are not the final link. And I say that I just added a little bit more, like before mankind there was another link, which was intelligence, kind of elves. And that's why we have these folk tales about elves, because, elves kind of inhabited Earth before mankind and kind of pushed mankind towards the next step of evolution. So this is one of the topics. Now the other main topic is the scientific one, which tells us about the speed of light, the limitations of the speed of light, because the distances between the stars are so vast. And, if all of speed is limited to the speed of light, then it's actually impossible for beings from different star systems to meet. Because it would take years and years and years to just get to the next star.
Yes.
All right.
What made you choose the particular time period or setting for your story?
Right. So time periods were very carefully chosen. I wanted to have a near future for the present, because I needed some new things which we don't have today, like about to become a spacefaring species with the speed of light. But also I wanted to go back to before the Ice Age. And why before the Ice Age? Because that's when the story of mankind started, Homo sapiens, right? And of course, as I imagined, the species of elves kind of pushing mankind to get to the next step of evolution.
And what does your process of writing look like?
Oh, the process of writing is kind of based on necessity. First, I just thought about the main points, the plot, and I wrote down everything with little bullets, like I'm going to write about this, about that, about that. Then I put them away for a period because I had lots of things to do, and then when I said, all right, it's time, then I just waited for my kids to fall asleep, and then 1 or 2 hours every night I just on the tablet, and this is the end result.
What is the best part about being an author?
Well, that's a very good question. One of the best questions yet is, what is the good thing about being? Is it good to be an author?
Well, definitely.
It's great to be an author. And I didn't know how great it would be until I started writing. Because, you read a story, then you get a story. Like this guy does that and that guy does that. But when you write a story, the guys do exactly what you want. They do exactly as you wish. So you get a story which you agree with 100%, and I was the guy who was the most amazed that I became the first fan of my own writing. I don't know if it happens to everyone, to all the writers, but I was just, I had this happiness in me, like, when writing the story, like, this happened, that was great, and then that happened, that was also awesome. So, this will happen, and maybe that, and it's great, So, yes, this being an author is a unique experience. I could recommend this to anyone.
And about the title of the book, does it have a significance?
Well, yes, right, Endless Earth, right? Endless is because the Earth has to go on, endlessly. Not Earth, but life itself. And of course, Endless Earth is the name of this elf, but it's not just a name, it's a title. Okay, she is an Endless Earth. There were Endless Earth before her, and hopefully Endless Earth after her. So it's just someone who makes sure that life will go on. It's Endless Earth.
And what was the hardest scene to write in the book?
Well, there weren't hard things to write actually, but there were things after which I said, phew. So for example, Endless Earth goes up to a space station, which is kind of a telescope dish. It's a circular object, which is actually a hotel in space as well. Now there's a great ring of some 3 or 4 kilometers, and she's chased by these miniature killer drones at one time, and there's a katana in her hand, and she has to just, it's an action scene. Yeah. And then she has to go through the whole ring, 3 or 4 kilometers, and everything is presented like, okay, this part of the laboratory, and this that kind of the telescope, and there's all kinds of different parts. And all through that, she's just cutting and slashing, This is the only scene in which it's so violent. But I wrote that for like 3 or 4 days because, it was a long process. And at the end, she is exhausted after everything, and she just falls apart on the floor. And I felt the same. Like, I wrote this scene, okay, now I'm afraid to read it back. So did it really convey what I wanted? Is it really action-packed? Is it really the best thing that I could write? So, after that, I was like, whew, I need to gather myself a little.
And did you feel like giving up at some point, maybe because of lack of creativity?
Oh, no. I was never about. Yes, I heard that many writers have some periods of boom, no creativity. Fortunately, I'm not at that point yet. Okay, so I have lots of ideas. I have written the second and the third part of this novel as well, and I'm looking forward to creating the fourth one. So no, I think that if you are a writer, you always can hardly wait to get there and to write it down. This is where writing really gets fun.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about the characters. Were those inspired by real people?
Well, actually, the names of the characters are as well. Well, I think I'll talk to you about them a little bit later. We have a question about that, I think. But about real characters, well, actually, I put a lot of myself into it, but not like me, I'm going and doing. You know, we have Brian, who is a young scientist full of ideas, but he's kind of a geek, and you know, he's just looking at Lander's Earth like, my God, this beautiful, wonderful creature, you know, and you know, has a lot of knowledge, but is really, you know, not the guy who does things. That's kind of me in geek mode. Then we have Captain Royce, who is the action guy, and he kicks butt, and he is the kind of a bodyguard for Endless Earth, and that is the me who is the, you know, I wish he were, you know. But he's British, and I really had fun in creating Britishness into him. So, you know, a lot of British expressions which are only in the British language, not in the whole English language. So, yeah, I had a lot of fun with that too. So I think that there's kind of a languagey part of that, of me, okay? And the rest is just wild fantasy.
Yeah, and how did you select the names for your characters?
Right, so the names for my characters, yes, well, we have Brian and we have Alan, and there are actually the names of two American guys who I met on an astronomy forum, and they kind of, got me on the way to amateur astronomy. You know, I took many of you guys, to see the stars with the telescope, and you know, they are the guys who really showed me the way of how to look for stars, what to watch, and how. So this is kind of a way to thank them for that. It's Alan and Brian, you know, I wrote back to one of them, hey, I wrote a book and I wrote you into it. And he said, well, okay, it's great. I hope you didn't kill me off. No.
Did you like the book?
No, I didn't read it. I just said that, hey, there's a book, and he just said it's great, and you know, that's it.
What category or genre do you think it fits into?
Right, so as I said, it's science fiction, but it's not really. It's also because of the elves, you know, it's fantasy. So it's fantasy, science fiction and fantasy, right? But it's not the modern type in which all kinds of flights of fancy are the most important, but the classic type, I hope, in which science and fiction, they fit together, because I packed it full of a lot of fun scientific stuff, which I hope that young readers will have a blast reading.
If you could describe your book using only one word, what would it be and why? I know it's hard, but only one word.
Let's say it's a scientific fantastic journey with hyphens.
What would you say to persuade a friend to read it?
All right, well, I would say, hey, you know, you want to read about a lot of fun facts in science and also have a great adventure. I hope it's great, you know, in the meantime, because, you know, here's a little book and you could read it. So, yeah, sure. As I said, young people would get a blast out of this. I know that my sister read it, and she said, right, I didn't know that. It's fun, you know, like going out to space and the effects of that on the body, or, you know, just facts about the Ice Age, or, you know, stuff like that, which would interest people.
So, who would you recommend this book to? What kind of audience?
Well, the audience, yes, I would say the audience is from 12 to 99 because, well, my sister is almost 50 years old, so, and she liked it, so it's great. It's great that she liked it. I mean, I was like, oh my God, what's she going to say if she's not going to like it? I would say the young generation because, you know, as a teacher, I cannot get the teacher out of myself, you know, because I always want to give the children some stuff which they would think is great, which they would be interested in. And this is one of the things that I would like to give them, and also give them an example of what they could do. I mean, if I could do this, right, okay, anyone can. And that's why I have the site, you know, this site, because lots of people I see that they have such great talent. They want to talk about stuff and they want to express them. And, you know, just read the site, I always tell them. It's great.
Yeah, so what do you hope readers will take away from the book?
Well, I hope a great experience. I hope to put a smile on their faces and a question mark in their brains. I would really love for them to go to Google and search for some stuff which I wrote in, some scientific stuff, like, you know, really the speed of light is like that? Or did Einstein really say that you cannot go faster than the speed of light? Or really, was the Ice Age coming along that fast? Or, you know, how it was? And, you know, to get people interested, to get them to ask questions. That's the best thing, I think, to make them curious about other stuff.
Now, a question that I think a lot of you might be curious about: how long did it take to write the book?
Well, it depends. The answer depends because, as I said, first I gathered some ideas, and that was like 10 years ago. And that was, you know, a process of some months, but I just, you know, thought about it while I was rocking the baby to sleep and, you know, all kinds of things. And I wrote some things down. So it's not really the writing process, but it's the process of creating it. And then when I started writing, you know, it just poured out of me like in like 2 months. And then, you know, my niece said, yeah, how could you just put together a stupid book in 2 months, you know? Well, if it's really in there and you really, you know, are bursting to just say it, it just goes, you know? So many people, I just tell you, just put your pen there or, you know, type it, just put it out of yourself and it will come like a torrent, you know?
Yeah.
That's how it was for me.
And for people who would like to buy your book, where can they find it?
Well, I think there are still some physical books. I mean, like this to be found on eMag. You know, it is also J-News, so you don't have to pay extra for them bringing it to you. So yeah, there are some. I think some 5 or 6 copies still there. And of course, there is the Kindle format, which is on Amazon. So you can just go to Amazon.com and you know, you buy it on Kindle and you just read it on a tablet.
What advice would you give to aspiring writers? Because I know there are a lot of people who would like to write, but maybe they are scared or they don't know how to begin.
Yes, right. Okay, that's what I tell to all the people who want to write on the site, but they still just, I don't know if I should, right? Just go, just do it, okay? Write it out of yourself, get it out of your system, get it out there. Because only the first step is really hard. Yes. Because the first step is not about writing, the first step is about deciding. And once the decision is made, many people have already seen in this school too, because they started writing on the site and just couldn't stop. You know, when you stop, that bug gets you, the writing bug, then you just have a hard time stopping and then getting on with your life, because you can hardly wait to go, right? Of course, you have to balance it somehow. But yeah, I think once you start writing, you will never forget it, and most of the times you will never regret it.
Do you have anything you are working on right now?
Well, as I said, I'm putting together idea for the 4th volume, because this is a trilogy first. But of course, this is a standalone novel first. So if you read this, you get a story, and it's the standalone novel. Now, of course, now I'm trying to get a 2nd volume published out of the trilogy, and the 3rd volume will kind of end it. But I have a 4th one, which I have already written some ideas out for, and that is kind of a short story collection on the adventures of these people.
Well, good luck for you. Thank you so much for answering my
Thank you so much
questions.
for having
That's
us.
it for today.
Thank you.
Bye.
God bless.